This is the scary story about the eye. There was a girl in class named Jillian who was having a very weird pain in her eye. She told her teacher about it, and she sent her to the nurse's office. The nurse told Jillian that she did not know what the problem was, so she sent Jillian back to class. When Jillian got home that day, she told her mom about the pain in her eye. Her mom couldn't see what the problem was, so she just gave Jillian pain medicine. Later that night, Jillian's mom heard Jillian screaming, and she then ran to her room. When she got there, Jillian was crying, and she then told her mom that the pain spread to her head now. Her mom then rushed her to the hospital, and when they got there, Jillian told the doctor about her eye pain and how it spread to her head. So the doctor shined a flashlight in Jillian's eye, and to his horror, a black spider came crawling out of her eye with all her babies. The spiders were eating Jillian's eye and brain. Jillian then died a few minutes later from the spiders eating her brain.
The legends about Bloody Mary say that repeating her name 3 or more times in front of a mirror in a dimly lit room will summon her spirit, who might scream at you, strangle you, or scratch your eyes out depending on her mood. Most people have heard these legends, but what you may not know is that the oldest known mirror ritual didn't involve Mary or ghosts at all. Instead, it was a way for young women to find their true love. Here's how it worked. Young women were to walk backwards up a flight of stairs in a dimly lit house holding a candle in one hand and a mirror in the other. As they gazed into the mirror, they were supposed to catch a glimpse of their future husband's face, or a skull, which meant they would die before they got a chance to marry. Imagine how disappointing it would be to do this with your friends and be the only one who got the skull. Would you even tell anybody? Or would you be so shocked by the result that you'd fall down the stairs when you saw it, confirming the magic mirror's prediction? Actually, now that I think about it, I don't want to be liable for anyone who does decide to do this little experiment after watching this, so first off, I'ma just say don't do it because the whole thing is bogus anyway. And for those who are planning on ignoring my warning, please make sure you've got a friend with good balance there to catch ya.
This is why you should always trust your gut. In the early 1970s, a college student decided to hitchhike his way home after class. A car pulls up, a man offers him a ride, and he climbs in. As soon as the car started moving, the student felt totally uneasy, like something was wrong but he couldn't quite place it. Without saying anything, he waited till the next time they slowed down and he flung the door open and ran away. 2 years later, he's flicking through TV channels when he comes across this special interview with a death row inmate. And it's just the audio recording, so he hears the interviewer ask the inmate, "Why did you remove all the door handles inside of your car?" The man just goes, "Well, the first time I tried to kill someone, I picked up a college hitchhiker who got smart at some point and jumped out of my car. So, lesson learned, remove all the door handles." When they showed his picture, the student knew immediately that he was supposed to be the first victim of John Wayne Gacy, aka the Killer Clown, who had killed over 30 men and boys in his clown room and stuffed them into his basement.
This is why you should never watch TV late at night. Once a mother and a father decided they needed a break, so they planned a night out together, and they left their 2 children with their babysitter at home. Everything was going good, the children were well behaved, and the babysitter was just sitting around while watching the kids, but eventually she decided that she wanted to watch some TV. It turns out she couldn't watch it downstairs because they didn't have cable downstairs, so she called the parents and asked if she could watch TV with the kids in their room upstairs. The parents agreed. They were about to hang up the phone when the babysitter had one final request. As she entered the parents' bedroom, she asked if she could cover up their large clown statue with a cloth or a blanket. She said it was making her very uncomfortable. The phone line went dead for a second. Then the mother said over the phone, "Take the children and get out of the house. We don't have a clown statue." As the babysitter turned around, she saw the corners of the clown's mouth widen into a smile.
A young girl is playing in her bedroom when she hears her mother call to her from the kitchen, so she runs downstairs to meet her mother. As she's running through the hallway, the door to the cupboard under the stairs opens, and a hand reaches out and pulls her in. It's her mother. She whispers to her child,
"Don't go into the kitchen. I heard it too."
My friend won't let anyone in her house after 9:30, and I just found out why. They're the happiest couple that I've ever met. Like, if you didn't believe in love, this couple would make you believe in it. But one evening, it all came crashing down. I arrived at JC's house at 5 p.m. sharp. She is obsessed with time, always wondering why someone's a minute late or a minute early, as if she's a detective and you're in her interrogation room. But before I get into what happened, let me tell you a little bit about JC. She's got pitch black hair, a nose ring, wears dark clothing. She's the type of girl that has pumpkins sitting out in the beginning of September. And she's super welcoming. Actually, the rug on her front door reads, "Leave now." So tonight I was going by her house because me and her had planned a movie night. But we had to start the movie night at 5 because she never lets anyone in her house after 9:30. As soon as I walked into her house, I immediately smelled cinnamon cookies. I was hoping they were for me, well, for us. But JC just brought in a big bowl of popcorn and some drinks, which was fine. I certainly wasn't going to complain and lose her trust for the next 2 decades. Then the movie ended. We thought Halloween 2 was okay. While JC went upstairs to find another movie, I decided to give myself a tour of the house, and here's when things started to go wrong. I was just glad she was willing to watch another movie and that she was letting her friends back into her life. She hadn't really been social since her and Tyler broke up. No one knows what happened between them, just that they were together one day and then the next day they weren't. After the breakup, no one heard from Tyler again. Then we started the second movie, Saw 4. She fell asleep during the movie, and the next time I checked my phone, it was 9:15. I thought, I better get going soon, even though she probably wasn't gonna wake up in the next 15 minutes. I headed over to the kitchen to grab a glass of water before leaving, and then I saw those cinnamon cookies on the counter, and I was like, she's not gonna miss one, right? After finishing the cookie, I turned on the water on the sink to wash my hands, but I was trying to be like really quiet because I didn't want to wake her up. The water didn't wake her up, but my scream did. My friend won't let anyone in her house after 9:30, part 2. If you missed part 1, go back and watch that. So the last thing I told you is JC awoke to my scream. I saw the face of a man outside of the kitchen window. She ran to the kitchen and I told her to call the cops. What did he look like? She asked me, but I didn't know. He was definitely a man. I think he was white. She burst out in laughter and said, that's enough scary movies for tonight. But I was refusing to leave because I had just seen a man. I knew I saw a man out the window. Then I saw the same man through the living room window, except JC saw it too. She ran to the front door and I thought she was making sure it was locked, but no, she was making sure I didn't look through the peephole. I ran up to her and yelled, "Move! We need to be able to identify this guy for the police." Confusion hit me. Why won't you move? She broke down and started crying. At this point, I could tell that she had basically given up. She was hiding something. She said, you know that old woman that me and Tyler visited? Now, let me just preface this. Tyler and JC were about as open-minded as people come. They tried basically every religion, and they were meeting up with this woman because she claimed to have some certain abilities. While she was telling me this, the man was still banging against the door. But as open-minded as they were, she told me that when she met up with the old woman, they couldn't help but laugh at her claiming to be one of the last real witches in the world. I tried to look around Jackie to see what was going on outside, and that's when I saw it. This was the stuff of nightmares. The man was on all fours and had pitch black eyes. And when he opened his mouth, he had cat-like teeth. She got up and ran to the kitchen and grabbed the tray of cinnamon cookies. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you not freaking out? Then she walked outside and started giving this half man, half creature these cinnamon cookies. And that's when I realized Tyler always did love cookies.
I want to tell you all about the first time I ever came in contact with a demonic entity. In elementary school, I used to have this best friend named Hunter. And Hunter had this amazing property where I would always go over on the weekend after school and we would film Nerf zombie videos for YouTube. And we just loved to hang out and play video games and all this other stuff. So when I would spend the night over there, I used to sleep on the floor on a mattress. He had a bed that was raised so high that you could crawl on all fours to get completely under the bed. And he always had these closet doors that had shutters on them to where they were kind of open so you could see through into the closet. So this one specific night, I woke up to a bunch of sounds and breathing in my ear. It was coming from under the bed. So when I woke up, I happened to just peek over under the bed, and what I saw truly lives in my head rent-free still to this day. It was a demonic entity crouched down on its stomach, looking at me in my eyes. As soon as I locked eyes with this thing, I jumped up immediately and ran out the door. It was just natural instinct to get away from this thing as far as I possibly could. I started sprinting down the basement steps, and keep in mind, this is like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning, and everybody in this house was asleep, completely knocked. As I make my way rounding the steps at the bottom, I come face to face with another entity that is presenting itself in the kitchen. And this entity stopped me in my tracks. It was a presence unlike anything I had ever felt before. And keep in mind, I was 9 or 10 years old at this time. So after I broke my gaze at whatever I was staring at in the kitchen, I decided to run back up the steps. As I got about 4 or 5 steps back up, I felt my right ankle get tugged from behind me. Like my foot got lifted up and I got pulled. I then proceeded to get dragged down about 3 or 4 steps before I broke free from whatever was holding onto my ankle, and I sprinted back upstairs. As soon as I got back into my friend Hunter's room, I went right under the covers and I literally hid under them until I saw a little bit of daylight. And where his property is sitting on, there is no service really when it comes to certain parts of the house. So the next morning I had to go to that specific part where there is service. I called my dad and I left immediately. It then took me 9 years to return to this location, and I did for one of my very first paranormal videos over on my YouTube channel.